Guys wanna oh
We're live.
we're live.
We're live.
Yeah.
That's it's over. It's over.
Okay.
Nice.
You want to introduce yourselves
Yeah,
to the
sure.
internet? This is
Um,
the entire three viewers
okay. Hi, all three.
that
My
see our
name
podcast.
is Madison Wiesner. I am a Northern California realtor servicing the Contra Costa area, currently with Real Brokerage Technologies, the Lucas Group.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Camila Lovin. Same as Madison. I work in North California. I'm a real estate agent here in the Contra Costa area, and I'm with the Lucas Group, broker by Real.
That's awesome. Why did you girls go to Real? Like, what was the? That's like that brokerage is exploding down here in my area.
Yeah. I think one of the big things was, we didn't really want to go. We had discussed kind of EXP versus Real. And we really liked the thought of Real being smaller in a sense. I mean, it is much smaller than EXP even now, even though it's growing rapidly. I think we thought it made more sense to go with a smaller, even though it is this internet brokerage, it's on a smaller scale right now. And the brokerage team seemed more helpful, and it just made more sense for us as a team.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's so
When you
many
were looking,
benefits, and the
what are some of the
community is
benefits?
really helpful.
What are some of? If you had to name the top three benefits of being in Real versus EXP, what would they be?
Well, I can't say for sure just because, we never were with EXP. But I definitely think the broker team is so helpful. I mean, we have in California, I think right now we have 5 active brokers. And
Mhm.
at one point, you can reach out to any of them. They have it where you can pull all their emails at one time to send out a mass email. The support team is killer. I mean, we send out an email to support any questions, and within an hour they're back to you. Hey, do this, and you're good to go. The support has been really good. I think the systems are amazing. We get it was Chime, now it's Lofty. We get Lofty through them. I know it's definitely a lot cheaper than what we were paying for it before through Real. And yeah, just the systems. I mean, the way we track our transactions is super helpful. The organization, all those things have been really great.
We have an AI assistant too,
Yeah.
and yeah, the stock market, the cap. There's a lot of benefits into the
What is the
Real. Well,
What
it
is it?
depends.
What does it cap mean? Like if I didn't know anything about real estate and you said that, like how would you explain what a cap is?
Well, the cap is like the minimum amount of money that you pay to the broker. So it depends if you're in a group or if you're an independent real estate agent. You have to cover or you have to complete a cap yearly. So it depends. Whatever your group is or whatever you want to start. In
Yeah.
Real, we have like a 6,000 cap or like a 12,000 cap. So once the cap is set, you don't longer give any split of part of your commission,
So
basically.
then you make 100% of your commission.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at that point. And the
Is there?
split,
Go ahead.
it depends too. The cap depends on where you fall essentially in the standing, right? So like Sandra, who's our team leader, her cap is slightly lower than ours. But yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends, but the cap isn't bad. I mean, the split's not bad, the cap's not bad. So it's been
Mhm.
really good so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
So because you came from the small brokerage, Sandra was just leading a small team, and
Yeah.
then
So
Yeah.
before Sandra was our managing broker. And now she has taken a step back. She's still obviously super helpful, has all the broker knowledge. So it is helpful with her as our team lead. She can answer majority of the questions that we would reach out to the brokers for, except unless it's like a certain rules that our brokerages have, then we have to reach out to them. But Sandra also has her broker's license, and that's super helpful with her as our team lead.
yeah, she's awesome.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
might
So
have a transaction going live today.
with
Hopefully,
her,
Oh, yes,
with
yes,
her. Yeah,
woo, yay.
I know. It'll be
yes.
a doozy, but they're all doozies right now.
Yeah.
I was I was talking to her. She's like, "You sound so tired." That's why I'm drinking Celsius. When I become famous, Celsius will sponsor me. But
Right.
Oh, she's like, you sound so tired. I was like, I'm exhausted. I've yesterday I think I worked like 16 hours, and then my one of my loan officers came in today and he's like, dude, and I was like, the amount of output right now is nowhere near reflective of the input. But like you have to build it. Every loan is so difficult right now. It's the
Yeah.
craziest thing I've ever seen, and that we thought it would be over. Like we all the loan officers were like trying to skate by, and realtors too, like trying to get to this point because March 1st was supposed to be like the
Yeah.
start of the hot season. It's back to making money. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna go to Sizzler, and
No longer.
Not Sizzler.
I love Sizzler. That's my saying. I texted this hard money guy. I got $1 million deal in Florida that I'm pulling out of foreclosure, and I
Nice.
was like, dude, I'm trying to go to Sizzler. Can you please approve my loan? He's like, give me an hour.
Give me an hour and then
Send
you'll
me
be on your
nothing
way.
basic. Yeah, but that's the type of stuff that I'm seeing in the market right now. Cash out refis, desperate. They're like
Yeah.
2%. Well, I can't pay my mortgage anyway, so it's either I sell or I get rid of this 2% rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I do think we've had quite a few people reach out. I know Camila had someone recently. They've owned their house for like over 12 years and can't afford it.
Mhm.
Now they can't afford it. And, I know we have a few people who have reached out kind of the same situation. So, unfortunate, but we're doing our best to help them. I know everyone is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Camila needs to list that house before that.
Yeah.
That house
I'm
goes up to.
trying. He doesn't want to lose it, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
We told them. And there's only so much you can do with these people, and not to reference our clients as these people, but there's only so much you can do where you give them enough
Yeah.
advice. Just like, all
Yeah, we
right,
provide solutions. So
at this
Yeah,
point, it's
it's
on
their
you to
decision.
figure it out. Yeah,
totally.
it's nuts. I have a couple like pretty large HELOCs that we're trying to push through the system right now. Same thing. They're like, it's either I get out of this 2% rate. It's either I do something with my equity, get out of this 2% rate, or sell. I think that's gonna if we continue to see rates where they're at, and you continue to hold inflation, like if rates go any higher, it's going to be a tough point for the market. Some scary thought was like Jamie Dimon just sold 150 million of JP Morgan Chase stock. You had
Jeez.
you have a lot of these billionaires that are selling stock. Bezos sold 2 billion with a B worth of stock. And
Oh
so
wow.
like when you have all these guys, like are they seeing something that we're not seeing?
And
Like,
yeah,
like
don't they
and I've been
all?
saying they're going to pull the rug from underneath everybody. Like they're going to have to just to try to control everything, and that's the only way the Feds are going to reverse their course of having high rates. But I think the reality is Powell did a great job of raising rates, or we'd be real flexible in a couple of years.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll
Yeah.
see. Hopefully nothing crazy, but Lord knows.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah,
I tell,
right.
I tell my guys, stay in God's favor, and you'll be all right. But
Yes, exactly.
yeah, I think y'all wanted to ask me questions about the Dream for All. Is that?
Yeah, so we're hoping to host a webinar going over the Dream for All program with Tony and Camila for our clients, anyone who's interested in joining in the next couple of weeks. So wanted to hop on here and ask Tony some questions, kind of go over the Dream for All program as a whole, and yeah, just kind of prepare for that webinar that we have coming up.
Yeah,
So.
absolutely.
Obviously the Dream for All program, the 20% down. How do you explain it to clients, Tony, the Dream for All program? When
Yeah,
someone comes.
I would explain it like if you can get it, take advantage. I'm conflicted
Okay.
because of just my personal views on having the government have ownership rights in personal property.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the great things about our country is that you have the ability to own property. Like that is what makes us a capitalistic society, and that is an underlying foundation. So when you have a state like California, which is really in the forefront of government involvement,
Yeah.
they put out a program where they say they're going to own a percentage of your property. It
Concerned.
puts me in a position where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
just like Jamie Dimon selling so much stock, right, from JP Morgan Chase stock. What are we really trying to do? Is this a case study to try to figure out, can we have ownership interest into the common folks' personal property? And so one thing with the Dream for All is that Cal Half is going to have ownership rights of your property. So a good way to think about it is if like you were a startup company and you had a great idea, but you had no money to build it.
Mhm.
And so let's just say you were going to create the next iPhone, right? And so what you would do is you would try to raise capital. Now, in order for you to raise capital, you would create a pitch deck and you would go on something like Kickstarter. And then you would submit your proposal, right? Submit your pitch deck, and individuals, right, who are much wealthier than myself would then say, "Hey, we'll give you 20 grand so you can create the prototype that is the next iPhone." And these are minuscule numbers, right? But we'll
Yeah.
give you 20 grand to start your project. But now we own 20% of your company going forward. And
Mm-hmm.
until you're able to buy us out of the contract, we own 20% of all of the profits. And so in essence, that's what the California Dream for All is really doing is they're saying, hey, we're going to help you with 20% towards your down payment and or closing cost. And we're going to own 20% of your house. So let's just say you had a house that was 500,000 and they gave you 100,000, right? That's 20% for your down payment. And you had a great realtors like you two that were going to negotiate the rest of the closing costs. So that's the buyer literally came in with nothing out of pocket.
Mm-hmm.
What CalHalf is going to then do is they're going to put a lien on the property. And as your property appreciates, they're going to own 20% of the appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the exit strategy typically on the down payment assistance loan is we're going to refinance and pay them off as quickly as possible. But because their stake in the property is so big that you have to have enough equity to not only pay their 20%, the 20% in profit, and have 20% left over in
Mm-hmm.
order to be able to take them off. So while typically on a down payment assistance loan, let's just say you did a program that I like to push called Within Reach, where the lender, not the state, gives you 3.5% for your down payment. Well, all those loans that I've done, after 6 months, I refi them. And they don't have to pay that down payment assistance money back because it's built into the interest rate. And the borrowers at a net positive, they actually make money anywhere between 10 to 20 grand. But with the Dream for All, what they then do is they're going to hold that property for 20 years or 10 years. So because they hold that position, let's say the property now goes up 200,000 in value. They own 20% of that 200K. So they're going to take a profit. So if they took 20% of 200K, that's 40,000. So they made $40,000 net profit off of their initial $100,000 investment. Does that make sense? So then they'll get paid back 140.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
So
140.
do you feel like, I mean, I guess obviously the program is directed towards people who don't have the money for the down payment, trying to tell them they don't have to have PMI, things like that. Do you feel like if in your lifetime you could never save that 20%, it just isn't in the cards for you? I mean, looking at the economy today, it's not in the cards for a lot of people. Do you think it makes sense for those people?
yeah, 100. If you can get it, if you win the lottery, like jump on it.
Yeah.
Twofold is, and there's two reasons really. Number one is what you just highlighted. You're gonna get the house. Most people in today's era. There's an interesting article by Forbes that dropped in 2018, and it's worse now. 60% of Americans couldn't come up with $500 for an emergency,
No, yeah, it's
and it's
devastating.
it's got to be worse now. And there's some factors that are portraying in like the debt crisis that we have that are insane.
Mhm.
But The second is the monthly payment. You're going to save because of
Mm-hmm.
that 20%. You're going to save 1,000 to 1,500 on the monthly mortgage, depending on the price point. I mean, for most people, that's the difference between them qualifying for 350K and like 600K.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're going to get that 20%, because they're going to get no MI. CalHFA generally actually has good rates compared to most down payment assistance programs.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're going to get that property. They're going to qualify for more money. Their payment's going to be lower, and they're going to be able to get their dream house. And they just have to tolerate, hey, when I go sell my house or I want to refi them out, I have to give them their portion.
Yeah.
Now,
So for the refi, they're only allowed 2 refis during the loan period.
they're allowed one.
1. Okay. So they get 1, and
So
then
you get,
none after that.
yeah, you get one rate buy down.
Okay.
That's where a good lender, right, is gonna make the world of difference. Is like time that properly. Don't get overly desperate.
Totally.
Yeah. So once that refine is in place, the lien disappear basically,
They give
right?
you one subordination. So a
Okay.
subordination means that they're willing to go in second position. So they'll basically lift up their lien, they'll let you refi, and then they'll put it back.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
But on the second one, you got to pay them back.
Mm-hmm. I
So like,
know. Sorry, go ahead.
so I mean, I have a ridiculously amazing example that I took a call yesterday for a HELOC for 100K, right?
Mm-hmm.
I did a CalHFA, not a Dream for All, but I did a regular CalHFA loan for this gentleman in 2019. I think it was 2019, early 2020. Yeah, it was 2019 because it was pre-COVID. And it was because he said, "You got me right before all the shit hit the fan." And anyways, he called me yesterday and he was like, "Hey, bro, like, can I get money out of my house?" And so I was like, "Oh shit, I haven't talked to you in a bit. Let me check. Let me see where we're at."
Yeah.
And we got this house with like, I think it was like 2-3 grand total out of pocket, but we got them into the market when the houses were 350,000.
Mm-hmm.
I comped out that house, and I don't have comps like you girls where you'll like do a good job. Like my comp are looking at Zillow, and
Yeah.
I was like, "Dude, you got 200 grand in equity." And one of the things he reminded me was like, "Dude, don't forget you also refied me in the 2020 craze and 2021 craze, and you got my CalHFAs paid off, and
Nice.
so I only have one loan." And I was like, so I started looking at the chain of title, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's where I refied it. We paid CalHFA off, and I think we had borrowed like 15K from CalHFA, and now he's got 200 grand in equity. What his initial $3,000 investment got him 200,000, which now he can leverage 100. So this
Wow.
is where the points where CalHFA and
Yes.
like all the down payment assistance loans come in so handy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So I know one of the things for me, I personally looked into doing the Dream for All program for my husband and myself back when it originally came out. And one of the things that I feel like is not commonly talked about, and I wish, everyone would speak about it more, is what happens. A lot of people, when I spoke to them regarding the Dream for All program, were like, yeah, well, cool. I'll buy the house using this program and then I'll just never sell it. I'll live in it forever and ever and ever. And then they'll never get the money back. I don't feel like it's often discussed what happens when your loan period is up. I know that was one of the concerns for me. I reached out to Tony, had some questions, figured out because of what happens when the loan term is up, when that 30-year period is up, what happens, it wouldn't work for me and my family. So Tony, do you want to go over kind of what happens if you come to the end of that loan term? Because a lot of people, from my understanding, think that it's just forgiven at that point.
Yeah, it's not. There's no free money. So at that point,
I'm definitely
at that point, the loan comes due. at that point, you're having to pay them off. And then depending on the terms of the note, and I haven't looked deep enough into this, if
Mhm.
CalHalp was going to appraise that property at the time that the note's due and add in the equity portion.
Okay.
So that's something to watch for. I'm not sure if CalHalp does or not, but we can find that out. But
Okay.
that loan comes due. So what they'll do is you paid 30 years, you're like, going to Sizzler, we paid it
Yeah.
off.
Sizzler,
We
here we
just freed
go.
up $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
Well, CalHalp is going to go, but we let you borrow $100,000. There's X amount of interest incurring on this. There's X amount of equity that you owe us. Now you got to pay us. Now we're going to amortize the loan over whatever the note term is, whatever, usually it's 10 years. And now you're going to start making payments on this.
Okay.
Now, what a savvy individual will understand is that who cares? Because you're getting $100,000 today, but you're paying $100,000 in 30 years.
Okay.
So I think we're all over 30.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Don't age me.
Oh, no. Sorry, no.
I'm
Late
not.
20s. We're all in our late 20s.
Don't age me.
Early 20s.
We're all in our early 20s, mid 20s. Mid 20s, otherwise it's weird.
Mid.
Yeah.
We're all in our mid 20s. And so, I mean, before we were born 30 years ago, we're like, how much could $100,000 buy you? Probably a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, because of inflation, which is why we have high rates right now, which we're trying to control, $100,000 is like nothing.
No,
Yeah, no.
Like I remember when I got my first job, I was negotiating for $60,000 a year, and I was like telling the GM like, this is life-changing money, and he was like,
big baller.
he was like, no.
No,
But
it's not.
it was.
Yeah.
Now it's like you see someone who makes $60,000 a year, you're like, you got EBT, child support, alimony. Like, where's the rest of the income coming from to survive?
Yeah.
This is a California problem too. Like, $60,000 a year in almost any other state is a great living.
Totally. Okay. Well, I do think it's interesting that so basically once the 30-year loan term is up, they would come to you and say, okay, you owe us X amount still because of the 20% we gave you and the 20% that the property has gone up. And then they'll break it down into a loan term. Obviously, if they start defaulting on those loans or that, those payments, then we run into an issue.
Yeah, obviously, if you don't make your payments, there's no bigger mafia than the banks.
Yeah.
The banks are the real mafia.
Do you feel like there will be an issue at some point because of it or no?
No.
Okay.
Because the payment's going to be so minuscule compared to
right. With 100,000 versus
if their mortgage on $400,000 is $3,800 and they take out $100 and they have to pay $100,000 in 30 years, their payment's $1,000.
Yeah.
If that, and also with the devaluation of money, that $1,000 on the back end is really like $100 on the front end.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, yeah, I think that's good to discuss because I just know a lot of people kind of don't go over that. Like, what happens if you reach the end of the loan term?
Yeah. No, it's due. You got to pay it.
Yeah.
We have right now a refi where somebody took a loan and they took a balloon payment, and the bank's like, your $150,000 is due in April of 2025. I just got the text message this morning, and so now we have to refi them out of it. And the lender didn't tell them there's a balloon payment, so we got to come in.
Yeah,
but that's a part of it. Are you guys ready for the Dream for All craze with all the inquiries you're about to get?
Yeah. I mean, of course, we'll take them all, right?
Yeah.
Of
I
course.
think if we set proper expectations, the site's up now for everyone to start registering and taking the course up front. They have to be first buyers. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. For the people that want to apply to this program, what are the requirements for the
First
program?
time home buyers, first generation
Mm.
first time home buyers. So your parents can't have owned a home. I don't know
Mhm.
how they're going to check that.
Yeah. Also, it's crazy because there's so many people that didn't end up going through with the program the first time because that wasn't a requirement the first time. You didn't have to be a
Yeah.
first generation home buyer.
But the first time they ran out of money because there
Yeah.
was too many savvy people. Like I wish I would have thought of this while it was getting prepped. But some of my boys that are loan officers, they reached out to first time home buyers and they were like, "Hey, can we use your first time home buyer thing on this? We're gonna cover all the expenses. We'll let you live rent free for a year, and then we're gonna sell it."
Oh my gosh.
And so they took advantage of the dream for all for themselves, and they just did a wraparound. So
Oh
really, the
my
house
gosh.
is theirs, and they use somebody else's benefits. And I know
Yeah.
guys who did this multiple times. So,
How do you feel about that as a lender?
well, it's scrupulous, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also know that capitalism is capitalism, and there's good and bad in everything. Like we're never gonna fuck over somebody. I just did a loan for free that I
Yeah.
could have made
Oh
15
yes.
grand, and I just did it for free.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like as long as my morals are on check, who am I to judge somebody else? But is
Yeah.
it wrong? Like the day they locked up the money, I had 4 escrows, and they were like, "Oh, sorry, we're out of money," and I had 4 escrows that I had someone to
Yes.
lock that morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a
One
Thursday
on
morning.
one of those were Patrick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but hey, he got his house.
Yeah, he got his house. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Thanks
also did
to
that one for almost for free.
Yeah.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yes,
I
true.
mean, it matters who you work with at the end of the day. Realtors,
Mhm.
lenders, anyone who has a hand in helping you purchase a home, it matters because not everyone, unfortunately, there is a reason that realtors and lenders get a bad rep sometimes. And I think it's important for us. I know me especially, I find it really important to not give people false information, not push people to do things that don't make sense for them in the end. So it's interesting to hear that people were doing that. I don't know how I feel about it.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it seems a little icky to me.
It is icky. Yeah,
Yeah.
some of those
Yeah.
are really other properties. That's why they
Yeah.
ran out of money so fast.
Yeah. And I mean, I also think one of the requirements wasn't that, like, I mean, it wasn't being checked that the people had these funds. And I think that should have been a requirement. Why gift 20% down to someone who has 20% down in their bank account? I
That's
think,
actually a really great question because
Yeah.
it's a weird dilemma. Like I'm a part of the Veteran Housing Alliance
mm-hmm,
where we help like vets get closing costs covered,
mm-hmm,
and the grants are 1,500, 2,500, and 4,500. And also there's a component that goes to helping homeless vets find shelter. Well, we have a guy right now that's going to get the grant, and he doesn't he doesn't per se need it, right?
mm-hmm,
But he's got disability rating, so meaning he got injured while serving, so he's getting compensated for it for the rest of his life.
mm-hmm.
Still a veteran, and so should he be withheld the opportunity because he took care of his finances properly?
Uh,
So
I
should we
on a
only
veteran
reward?
no, I don't.
Right.
I think, he served our country and if that's part of why we have, right, VA loans, things like that to give back to them. So I agree. I think whether he has the money or not, he should be given that grant
Right. Which
due
was
to
our
Mm.
which was our take.
yeah.
Give was that
However, I think someone who has 20% in their bank account and they're approved for $1 million loan and has the 20% for that, should we be gifting them 20%?
well,
I
we're not gifting
That's where
though.
I disagree.
Yeah, we're not gifting though, right? And the
Yeah, I
person
mean,
who
Yeah,
has
I
it,
yeah.
don't gifting,
yeah,
but no, I think if it comes down to someone who in their life could probably never save that 20% versus someone who already has it in their account, I'm always going to root for the person who I personally feel deserves it more, which is the person who could never reach that milestone by themselves.
Yeah. Well, you have a
Yeah.
good heart.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes and no, because we don't know what is behind that person who makes the 100,000 and is saving it and is working hard to do it. And, you know, it's like, yeah.
He could, yeah, he or she could have saved for 20 years to be able to start a
buy.
business, and they weren't going to buy a house because they were going to start a business. And so they have this 100 grand saved, but now this opportunity is bestowed upon them. And so it's like, well, wait, why should I get punished because I was fiscally responsible?
Yeah.
I mean, different
So it
scenarios
depends.
for every person. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
However,
But
I think we all know people who got the program who have plenty of cash. So yeah, I just think unfortunately, I wish during that time it would have been a little bit more regulated, like looking at how much money these people have. You know, just because why are these programs brought about in the first place? They're brought about to help people who unfortunately won't be able to make that money because of the economy that we live in and because of, you know, the housing crisis in California and all these things, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great point. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. There's going to be about 250 people that get it. There's probably going to be about 10,000 applicants. So they got to get ready. Like last week.
Yeah. Besides this condition of the first generation ownership, what do you know the requirements for
they haven't released
the program?
All the guidelines yet.
I see. Do you know when they're going to be released?
On the site, they're slowly dripping more and more information.
Okay.
But they want to drop in April, so I would assume sometime in the beginning of March they're going to let everybody know exactly how to qualify.
But people kind of start applying right now just to be ready.
Yeah, people can start getting ready, so they can start taking the course. Yeah, you go on the Cal Halfway Dream for All site. There's a strategy for it.
Yeah,
and I'll drop the description.
Yeah. Do you know, Tony, if applicants with the work with item number can qualify? Do you have an idea?
They cannot.
They can't. Okay.
No, they cannot. Nope. There's a lot of stuff that item people can do now, but that's not.
No, this one, no. Okay. Just want to make sure.
Those are tough loans.
Yeah.
Those are tough loans. Jesus.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, girls. Well, hey, you girls are amazing. I appreciate you. I'm going to end the live stream. Is there any closing remarks?
No. Thanks, everyone.
I think, yeah, I think we can do another one when we have more